that we have so many people. You just cannot imagine, we worked so hard to actually get all of you, and we made a mistake as well. Apparently, the first 23 people that registered went to Castlereagh, or may have gone to Castlereagh. So I sincere apologies for those who had to actually walk a lot to come here. I thank you so very much, and PM Partners is actually giving you a beautiful, some beautiful presents, gifts to take home. Yes. So I appreciate your patience and your attention to actually come here. A lot of people told me, but this event is for men. No, this event is not for men. Like the other event that we had the last time that was not for women. It's actually for us to celebrate important characteristics in project management. So today you guys are going to have, you're going to have a treat with the panelists and the panel facilitator. Of course, I would like to acknowledge the country. I would like to acknowledge the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, the traditional custodians of this land, and pay my respects to the elders past, present, and emerging. So we actually had the registration between 6 and 6:30. I'll give you a little bit of some insights on what is happening with the chapter. I will focus on events, but you will see that we are so excited to serve you guys. Then we'll have this, panelists that are amazing, and I can only thank them for their support. PM Partners has been absolutely outstanding with us. So I would like to actually, first of all, thank PM Partners. I'll give the floor to Nick in a minute. And I would like to thank all the board team. Could I actually get everybody who is from the board who managed to make it today? There we go. Women. Women! And I would love... there we go. Women, again. And I would like to thank my volunteers from the bottom of my heart. I cannot tell you how fantastic it is to work with my team of volunteers. They are sort of outside, but here as well. So can I just get my volunteers to stand up for a minute? There we go. I am actually committed, don't know if it's going to happen. No, I'm committed to get some T-shirts for them, because I think it would be nice to actually have the events team, that you could actually go and talk to them there. And Tibet is not, we don't have a photo here, but he is here. And we will get a photo of our team one day. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what is happening in the chapter, and then I'll pass to Nick. So we have plenty of things going on, guys. You have to keep an eye on our critical path, because apparently we are not allowed to send too many emails to you guys. So please keep an eye on the critical path. Sometimes we make a mistake because there are so many, handover between one team and another. And above all, we are all volunteers, and we are so committed to you. We are committed to serve you. So, apologies for the mistakes, and just take the good, the bad with the good, or whatever they say. So we have events. We have our Explaining AI in Project Management coming soon. The guy is phenomenal. He's actually a part of the study of the PMI's Project Success new study. We have our, Your Brand, Your Life, and it's only for 40 people. But I know that, people are going to say, well, why do you actually run something that is so small for so few people? We're going to run several times. But we wanted that because we wanted to trial something during that time. And then we have our AGM. We are not going to have the breakfast on May 29th because the speaker is not available. I'm having to talk to PM Partners about that, but we have our AGM, and we have a great speaker coming from on that day to give us some ideas on this positive disruption. I think that is going to be fantastic. And then we do have hybrid events, networking events, volunteer events. We have amazing academic outreach this year. We will have our PM DOS, which is the day that the charities and project management get together and add immense value to the community. And we have, project Women in Project Australia and Women in Project Construction. So I will pass to I'll pass to PM partners. So I'm sure that you guys are happy with what is coming there.
Thank you, Julia. Just a couple of announcements and then some acknowledgements. So first I want to thank you all for being here. Welcome to PM Partners. Again, we've renewed our partnership with PMI. It's a long-standing relationship that we have. And this is the first of many events we're going to have this year. So, I look forward to co-hosting, many more events. A couple of the benefits. So, one of the benefits of being a PMI member is obviously, coming to events like this, but also from PM Partners, you receive a discount. So, any course that you do, you get a 20% discount. Also tonight, if there are any people here who aren't PMI members yet, we do have we can extend that 20% till Monday afternoon, and there is a QR code just outside there on the table. Just scan it as you go through. That's the one Francisco is holding, and you get basically a discount code. So if you had something you wanted to do, now's probably the time to move on that one. Thank you to Julia. Thank you to our speakers tonight, our panel, and to all the volunteers. Anything else I've got to mention?
Oh, Francisca.
It's a bit. Francisca is our wonderful marketing coordinator. She did what you see here, all of this, and more. And we've also got some.
Without her, we would not exist.
100%, 100%. So. And that's it. Enjoy your evening. We've got some pizzas at 8 o'clock, so hope everyone's hungry.
Perfect.
All right, thank you.
Okay. So today's session, I'm going to pass to Leo.
Leo.
Just one more thing. At the end, we have a way for you to claim PDUs. So please do check that QR code, and we would love to hear from you on a survey. If I get too nervous and excited about what is happening, and I do not place the code and the Menti survey, please remind me, please check, and please give us your feedback. Thank you. There we go.
Well, give yourselves a round of applause, guys, for showing up tonight. I've got to take my glasses off because they're reading glasses. So who's excited? Entrepreneurs in the room? Keep your hands up. No way. Look at all these entrepreneurs. I don't need to interview these guys. So look, super excited. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. Well, let's introduce some of our panelists. So I'm going to start with Jeff Mustapha. Come on down. Come on, give him a round of applause, guys. And I'm not going to do the intro. I'm going to allow you to just a quick intro on yourself. Yeah.
Just a quick introduction. Jeff Mustapha, the CEO of HealthVue. HealthVue I founded 6 years ago. I was working for a medical centre operator and found that we can help general practices across Australia elevate their revenue, optimise their efficiencies, and also cut costs. So we now work with over 80, 90 practices across Australia, and we've expanded our portfolio. So that's a bit about myself.
Beautiful. Give him a round of applause. Thank you. Yep, take a seat, get comfortable. Our next guest and panellist is Giancarlo Serafini. Give him a round of applause. Welcome.
Thank you.
So, a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, look, I think Giancarlo Serafini, for those that know me, they call me JC, so happy for you guys to call me JC. I'm passionate about unlocking latent value in people and organizations, and like many of you, I've dedicated quite a good part of my career to project management. But over the last 10 years, I had the opportunity to traverse both the corporate world and the entrepreneurship world. And my aim today is to share my experiences of what the intersect between project management and entrepreneurship is. And hopefully at the end of today, you will be able to gain hopefully some actionable insights that you can implement in your careers or your projects. And if not, at least be able to spark a little bit further that curiosity about entrepreneurship.
Beautiful. Give him a round of applause. Thank you, Giancarlo. Grab a seat. And last but not least, Hammam Alkouz. Marshall. Mate, I want his full name. What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Mate,
Hi everyone, I'm Marshall,
Nobody knows you. Nobody knows you. That's absolutely.
project management consultant and advisor. I wear a lot of different hats. I teach with a beautiful team here with Sydney University and Dr. Lewis. I'm board member director in a few different organizations. I'm into this topic as well. I have my own businesses that I usually don't talk about, but maybe today I'll talk about some of it actually. Thank you.
I love it. Good on you. Grab a seat. Looks like I'm sitting over here. So guys, super excited. Tonight is about engagement with the audience as well. So we're going to get through as many questions as we can. We'll have a QA session at the end. Are you ready?
Yes. We do have a timer.
Ah, really?
Yes, we do. We do have a timer.
Let's get into
Everybody's
this.
going to be really hungry about.
I bet.
That's right.
So guys, look, we're going to get straight into it and I'm going to pass the mic. Marshall, we're going to start with you tonight. And one of our first questions relates to the intersection of entrepreneurship and project management. And the question that we have here is, how has project management influenced your approach to entrepreneurship or leadership? And what key project management principles do you believe are essential for business success? So maybe just stick with the project management. How has project management influenced your approach to entrepreneurship or leadership?
All right. Entrepreneurship, something that usually fail. As a lot of statistics, only 5 to 10% of new business ideas manage to take off from the runway. When we look at the life of any entrepreneurship, what are they doing? They have a great, bright idea. They want to transfer this idea or this vision to reality. And that is a project, a program, a portfolio by itself to make it alive. And with that, what would the entrepreneur needs to have? They need to have a great skills in planning and scheduling. They need to have great skills in prioritizing the ideas because we're going crazy as entrepreneurs with all the good ideas. And then we need to have a really good skills to estimate. We need to have skills to manage unlimited resources. And am I just describing here the project manager role? Yes. So that is the project manager who have got all these skills, plus the skills of risk management, resilience, adaptation, and so on. And I believe that a lot of entrepreneurs are not making it out of the runway because they don't have these great skills that a project manager might have, which is being structured to achieve the goal, like how we, the project manager, plan things and we structure things as we can, as much as we can, and then also be resilient in case there is a drop where we can manage to help that airplane to take off one more time. Yeah.
Nice. I like it. Jeff, were you interested? Did you want to say anything on that?
No, that was he pretty much summarised some of it as well.
So Giancarlo, on the flip side, and again, you okay with the mic? If it'll pick us up, yeah? So just as a follow-on, the second part of the question, maybe pick up from that. What key project management skills do you believe are essential for business success?
Look, when I think about entrepreneurship, and I think what Hans said is absolutely, I am privileged to work with an accelerator that is based in Europe, so I've had the opportunity to invest, but also to mentor some startups. And I was sharing a thing with Jeff that one of the things you tend to see with the entrepreneurs is they come with really brilliant ideas, and it's real brilliant ideas. You say, wow, you know, the idea's got so much value. You can see where it's going to head. They got a market. The challenge they tend to face is they don't have someone that can help them execute. And in entrepreneurship, you can have a great idea, but if you cannot execute it and you don't execute it fast, you could be losing on the train. And bridging from that, what are the sort of the the key traits that project management brings that are so important for entrepreneurship. To me, the thing that is symbiotic between both project management and entrepreneurship is first focus on value. That's so important. Something that I think entrepreneurship tends to do a bit better than in project management. Focus on value means have the end in mind. What is it that you're trying to achieve, and test that as soon as possible. Don't, before thinking about what is the next, before thinking about, and this is something we see all the time. Someone comes and says, I'm going to build a product about specialty pet food. And when you talk to them about, okay, how can I mentor you? They go and say, well, I need to think I'm going to produce the food here, and this is going to be the materials, and that's how we're going to go to the distribution channels. And they're thinking through how we're going to operationalize this. And the question that they always sort of stumble upon is when someone asks, have you tested demand for that product? Before you start investing in talking to suppliers and getting into the channels and cutting deals, and think about from an entrepreneurship, right? You're spending a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of effort. You haven't even tested the idea. So I think focusing on value is very important. When I bring that to project management, it's the same thing. Sometimes, particularly in low, mature organizations, I call them, and I'm not being disrespectful, but it's true. You tend to have project management when you're being given a budget, you got to do this scope, and they don't really disclose much. What is this project all about? And so, you don't understand what the project is there to deliver. You don't understand what the benefit is. You don't know what the context is. It's important as project managers to constantly be curious and never be afraid to ask, what are we doing this for? Always question the value, always focus on the value. Every decision you make through the process is all about, is this going to be valuable? Because it's the only way, things are going to change, but the only way to stay on course is to be able to deliver value. And at the end of the day, whether it's a client, whether it's an enterprise, is the users of that product, is those benefits that speak whether the project was successful or not. Not so much whether it was delivered on time and budget, but something that's delivered on time and on budget and does not fulfill the original need, in my perspective, is a complete failure. And in the entrepreneurship world, what it means is a failed startup. So I think focus on value is very important. The second one is risk management. Again, when you are an entrepreneur, it's all about risk management. Testing the market before you actually go and spend all this money is risk management. Let me, and if you think the best entrepreneurs I've seen in some of this startup are the people that spend a lot of time on the problem and very little time on the solution. They don't fall in love with the solution. They fall in love with the problem, and they go, what is the cheapest way that I can actually, to use that example before, what is the cheapest way I can test if there's going to be a market out there for specialty pet food before they even sunk millions? So risk management is important. Last but not least, I think I mentioned bias for action. This is something that I think in project management we do very well. We as soon as we get a scope, so we get a budget, we're already on it. And it's all about managing milestones, managing progress, managing financials. Let's achieve, let's get. This is something that we do have an advantage on some other entrepreneurs, where they get stuck in the idea and the romanticism without getting things done.
I love it.
Definitely love to, on the back of that, Marshall said a very, very important word, resilience. I guess that's where, in terms of today, I believe in terms of when it comes to resilience, even for myself starting on at the very start, you have the great idea, a great concept, where project managers, we can execute, but you will face setbacks. And it's about how you actually recover from those setbacks. I know for me, at the very early on, it was a great idea, revenue. I thought, free money. I'm going to these doctors. I'm saying, what doctor will say no to free money? You'll be surprised. I could not believe it. And I started off thinking, instead of trying to have a complete solution, focus on progress. What value, and showcasing that value to these doctors. So we started off with free assessments. focusing on what we can control, not what we can't control. So being resilient in that instance, which is very, very important. Staying calm during these moments when you think it's not working out. Having a group of peers is very important. Surrounding yourself with great people, because if you don't, you'll end up falling yourself into a hole. And then that's where the resilience have to come. Yes, I need to do this. And establishing a why. I know very early on, I'm like, I need a why. Okay, what is my why with these doctors? Why am I doing this? And I created myself, it was like, okay, every company has their own values. So I said, okay, rapid. So that was like, you go on my website, it says rapid everywhere, like rapid. And I'm like, okay, respect whenever I'm having these conversations with these doctors. A glow, integrity. RAPID. Respect, the glow, perseverance, integrity, and determination. So once you establish that why, in entrepreneurship and in project management, then you can move forward. So thank you, Marshall. Resilience, absolutely, yeah. And obviously offering value. We can all offer value. Even we're just having a conversation, whether I'm speaking to, whichever level within the organisation, I always love to have that openness and have that openness with anyone, because you can learn from the gardener to a CEO. So, yeah, thank you, Marshall.
I love it. You jumped onto the resilience topic. I knew you would. And like, obviously, guys, in project management, challenges, no challenges, right? In projects, ever. Yeah? And I always say resilience is something that you learn sometimes by choice and sometimes it's forced. Especially in the craft of project management. Very, very, very common. So thank you. Appreciate the insights, Jeff. But let's keep moving. Innovation and value creation. We've already talked about value, but let's see what happens here. Giancarlo, how can project managers cultivate an entrepreneurial mindset to drive innovation in their projects?
Look, I think the word cultivating mindset is a psychological, right? It's a psychological aspect. It's not a hard skill that you will go and learn, right? So how do you do that? It's first of all, it's all about creating the right environment. What does the right environment looks like for cultivating innovation? First, you need to create a safe space. I was talking to someone in the group about creating a safe space. It's incredibly important to create. The first thing I will say is no project, nothing gets done without teamwork. Anyone that shares here that says that is the superstar that got it all done single-handed, it's lying. Nothing in this world gets done single-handed by one person. So you always will work with people, with support, with tools, but certainly with people. So creating the right environment for the team means creating a safe environment where opinions are absolutely respected, where people are not ostracized for coming up with stupid ideas. Look, one of the things, and this is very simple, but can I raise your hand if you've ever been in a brainstorm session? All right, so lots of us been in brainstorm sessions in many years. Now, how many times have you seen that the brainstorm session starts and someone says, okay, we're going to go ideas about, I don't know, the color this new car should be. And someone says, yellow. And before even someone put yellow, someone says, nah, yellow is not going to work because of, whatever it is. and so you see the person there in the blackboard going, yellow, okay, not yellow. Well, red, no, not red, actually. No, that doesn't work. And one of the fundamental things, and this is very small, but it's applicable to everything we do, in brainstorming sessions is to create a safe environment. Actually, you need to let for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever time you do this, people throw ideas without judgment. Because we are human beings in the moment, and we all react similarly. The moment that you throw in 1, 2, 3 things, and people are disbanding them already without even getting the opportunity to discuss them, people tend to limit themselves, right? If you're in a project environment where you've got a very hierarchical structure, where you've got a, I don't know, project director, project manager, that is my way or the highway, there's going to be no innovation. So the first thing is create an environment for innovation. The second one is, I think, set it as an objective and set an example. If you're your project leader and you want to set it as an objective, start small. I talked about risk management, very important. Don't bet the whole budget of the project on this great idea that is not going to work. You got the right to be scolded for it. But start small. One of the things that you need to do, like anything we do, any behavioral change starts with a habit. And you need to build the habit. And the only time you build a habit is by doing it small steps every time. It's muscle memory, right? Don't go from tomorrow, go, okay, we're going to innovate, guys. That's it. I want ideas now, and then we're going to do this. It's not going to work. What you got to do is to start small, build a habit. The more people get through this, the more people get through ideas, the more they try small experiments, again, focusing on value, small experiments, the more people will become attuned, will be comfortable, and the more you'll build a culture. And I don't want to get ahead of myself, but one thing I'll say around that is, the last thing I'll say around that is, the amazing thing about when you take a team from little innovation, more operations, to start with small steps, is that you underestimate the progress you can make in the long term. You tend to overestimate things you can do in the short term, but you so much underestimate a thing that you can do in a year or 2 years. And then, once you've gone through that journey, you will be doing and changing things that you didn't even thought possible you would change when you started the journey.
Love it. Love it. Yeah. And as someone that's been an entrepreneur for many, many years, I'm just going to plant the seed, mindset-wise. Thinking outside the box is some of the biggest breakthroughs that you can make, is thinking outside the box. And I think it plays into what Giancarlo said around brainstorming. Yeah, we go in with preconceived ideas and we contain and limit the thought process. Yeah. Thank you, Giancarlo. We are going to keep moving, and Jeff, this one's for you. Around innovation and value creation. Can you share an example where thinking like an entrepreneur helped you solve a complex project challenge, or a challenge? Full stop.
So I used to work for, as I mentioned, a medical center operator. They had 120 medical centers. And thinking outside of the box is definitely important, right? So as a project manager, they were a lot older than me. I'll try to hide my age as much as I can when I was a bit younger. With 15, 20 years of experience, and everyone was so stuck on budget, scope, and timeline. So stuck. And like my friend GS said, in terms of value, focusing on value. So working for this transformational project, and in the medical center, we had a mail and record room. It was transforming an urgent care facility, and we're moving the mail and record room out. And we had, you walk into this room, and it's honestly a room full of boxes. Full of boxes. All patient records. And as in the healthcare industry, you have to keep your records for a certain period of time, and medical centers can't just chuck them away, or so as a PM, you would just say, do you know what? I'm just gonna go to a record facility company, and they can just offshore it. But I thought, you know what? Just let's take a step back and let's see how can I change this from a problem to an opportunity to the board, and the CFO can just look at this and say, do you know what? This is a no-brainer. So we built a couple cases, right? So I'm like, okay, you've got all these boxes and patient records. The first option was, let's send it to Iron Mountain. They can store it there, great. The second option was, okay, what if we just reorganize it and just put it somewhere else, and it's still boxes there, and we can continue on with our urgent care fit out, and that's all happening. Or I can potentially work with the builder there and work with the doctors. I was very close friends with the doctors, with the cleaners. So whenever we launched the project, I got my goal was to know everyone at the centre. So when I wanted to do certain things, I can just pick up the phone. Yeah, I'll call Larry. Hey Larry, can you please, just do this for 1, 2, 3. So anyway, the third option was what if I digitize these records? I convert the space in healthcare, a consult room is valued based on the revenue it can generate, specifically from doctors, right? So each doctor, we call it FTE, is a dollar amount. So in corporate world, and one of the reasons I moved away from corporate world was to help these other, GP practices. So I'm like, okay, I'll convert the room into a consultation room, and then I'll get the recruitment manager to, hey, if we convert this to a GP room, it'll cost you 20 grand, but it'll make you 250 grand. So we built the business case around converting this into a revenue generating room, and being able to then go back to the CFO and say, hey, CFO, give me about 20 grand to hire a couple school kids for 2-3 weeks. We'll digitize this. This will be your operating cost. But guess what? If you hire a full-time FTE, you're making X, Y, and Z. So it was about 280K profit. So that's how, in terms of, there's a revenue that GP, a full-time equivalent, will generate, but there's also a profit margin. So we did a webinar recently which talks about benchmarking. So the third option that we presented to the board was these are your 3 options. This is the best option you should go with. And then we managed to do that. So for about 2 weeks, you had a couple of high school students scanning in all the documentation, and then moving away to, and then when you scan in a record, you can upload it into the patient record. So the main softwares they use is Medical Director and Best Practice. Now it's Best Practice. So it's let's just upload it into the patient record. So yeah, that's in terms of thinking like an entrepreneur. I think the main focus is whenever you encounter a problem, how can you convert this problem into an opportunity? I think that was, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I love it. I try and think like an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And my wife gives me things to do, yeah.
How can I
You hire a
convert?
couple of kids to do it for you.
Opportunity. It's an opportunity. Every problem's an opportunity.
Thank you, Jeff. That's good. So, guys, we're going to talk a little bit about business acumen and strategic vision. Marshall, this one's for you.
All right.
So, the question is, why is it crucial for project managers to understand the business impact of their projects beyond just execution?
All right. Now, any projects will create outputs and outcomes and benefits. The previous traditional approach for any project manager to measure this project is successful. I want to just deliver it on time. I want to deliver it on budget. That's it. I have achieved my goals. But then there are many projects which started not because we want to generate money, but maybe we actually are investing here to be the first in the market. It's a strategic movement. Or maybe it's actually help us with compliance. So every project manager needs to understand the most important constraint in the projects, and the only way to understand that is to go back to the business acumen, is to go back to the organization strategic goals and objectives. And from there, understanding that will help us to make the right decisions in the project. We've had the projects where people managed to deliver on time and budget, but there was no benefits. Why? Because majority of the decision which was made in the project was focusing on the delivery only, not how can I help my organization to achieve its strategic goals and objectives through my project. And as a result, project manager need to see the bigger picture, need to understand the market, need to understand the organization's strategic objectives and goals, and react and make all their decisions based on these factors.
I love it. I love it. And again, just to plant the seed, something a bit closer to home. It's nice to talk strategic outcomes and business objectives. I don't know if that always motivates a team. So again, an analogy, just to help this sink in my view. I built a pizza oven at home. Yeah, what was my motivation? That end goal and understanding that I was going to have parties, we were going to eat those beautiful pizzas. Realise that some of this stuff and an understanding beyond the end game, right? You've delivered a project. you need something that motivates your team to push through. And sometimes that's the differentiator between a project that's delivered ordinarily and the difference between, you know, real success, right, where everyone gets behind the initiative and drives the outcome together as a team. Yeah? Everyone likes pizzas, don't you?
I can't remember. Where is that? Which part of the house?
Actually, nine for pizza now.
You've been to my house and you have
Having a good time.
I know.
It's normal that you are motivated by pizza.
I'm Italian. I get it. Jeff, just on the same category, a question for you around what are some common mistakes that project managers make when they fail to think strategically, and how can they avoid them?
From my perspective, it's, I guess, thinking outside of the box. I looked at, you know, a project as like a business. I think we touched on very greatly in terms of value. So would I be happy and satisfied with the value that this project? I think now with my business, it's like every dollar, whenever I'm investing, it's like, okay, if I invest $20,000, what is the, I guess, the outcome? So it's the same thing within business. People is very important. I like to think I had, I guess, a lot of success because I was very conscious of people and instead of just being, you know, vertical, more the horizontal layer. Like I said, you know, speaking to the gardener, then speaking to, you know, your CEO, I think just having that openness. And I guess going back to, you are going to face roadblocks. It is how you adapt during those times. Leadership, people feel energy, body language, you know, everyone can look at someone, you can tell a lot by just looking at their body language. So your team noticed that. So whenever I was running a project, I think you try to, you know, just have a steady mind and control what you can control and not be reactive instead of proactive in that approach as well. Try to foresee, okay, you know, these are the story, this is what you can do. This may happen, and what is how would you control that? I love playing chess, so it's like I'm always trying to think, you know, what would you do? Yeah, exactly. Where are you going to go? Okay, no, I'm gonna do this. So whenever you're running a project, you know, having that with your team is very important. And just for me anyway, just trying to, I guess, when you're being open and transparent, people just naturally will flow to you. So especially within projects, you know, if people want to work with you, instead of just they have to work with you, obviously there's a lot of people you can learn from, industry experts, you know, especially when you're running a project. So if people naturally, you know, you build an environment, safe space, then you learn so much even during a project. So I started off in IT, project management, and then dived into healthcare. I can tell you the first day I rocked up into primary health, it was like, what the hell do I know about health? But project management is a set of principles and foundations that you can then, you know, adapt to business and life. And exactly. So, yeah, I think that those are kind of the key points in terms of thinking like an entrepreneur in the project environment.
Nice. Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate it. So, guys, ownership and accountability, a big topic, weighted very heavily in entrepreneurship and also project management. But a question for you, Giancarlo. What advice would you give, this is a great question, to project managers who struggle with accountability in high pressure environments? It wasn't my fault.
Is this guy's ideas that the question was for me?
Yeah, no, it's for you.
Does that exist?
What's my recommendation? Find out why. Ask yourself your question. Why would you struggle with accountability? Why you would struggle with taking ownership of anything, but if you're in project management, why would you? I've got a hypothesis. I think I've seen this with some of our young project managers in our own business at Aurecon, where there is this fear that when things might not be going well, the performance on the project might have a direct implication of who they are as a person and who they are as a professional, right? So they see themselves as an association of the projects. And look, reality is that there are projects that are so easy and you'll make a lot of money on, or the benefits are so easy that will happen without much effort. There'll be other endeavors where you gotta sweat every minute just to make it happen. So often, but I think if you go through the process, right, you go and you're starting a project, it's going well, everyone is excited, I'm running the project, and then some hurdles start hitting along the way. And things start getting a bit harder, and there's things start being challenging. Understanding how are you interpreting what's happening is very important. If you're interpreting that as the project is going wrong, and then you start imagining my boss or the business is going to think this is a result of my capabilities, or this is a result of me. A defense mechanism is to go and not take ownership. A defense mechanism is to deflect, find out the 300 reasons as to why. Another one that is super interesting is something happens and people want to go and dive into a root cause analysis, which is very important. A root cause analysis of why something happened is very important. But not before you fix what you had, right? So you do a root cause analysis and you focus on fixing or addressing that. So people try to find out, let's do a big report and let's do an assessment and let's make sure that that assessment says that I did nothing wrong. I think when people have got challenges with accountability, typically it's because they have fear, natural fear that the outcomes of that project or what's happening will reflect negatively upon them. If anyone is interested in the topic of ownership, look, I am in the privileged position to be, a person that is responsible for hiring in my business, in Aurecon. And to me, openly, ownership is the first question I ask. Why? Because if you own the problem, it's very hard to lose when you don't give up. Very hard, right? And people that have ownership also have found a different way of processing failure, right? They don't see failure as a permanent state. They see failure as something that is temporary, something that you will continue to work through to address, and eventually will come on the other side. That type of skill set, I know, that has got a high correlation with project success, no matter what sector they work. You talked about coming from IT into health and having no idea about health, right? That's the sort of things that modern businesses need. People that can apply project management, sector independently. And I think a lot of the contributors to where you think someone is going to be very successful in their career or not is taking ownership on programs. And if anyone is interested in the concept of ownership, I will say that there's maybe some of you have already seen it. I strongly recommend to read it even with your teams and share with your teams. I remember the first time I started with Aurecon, I actually did a book club. It's called Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink. I'm not sure if anyone knows about this. He's an ex-SWAT, ex-Marine. The book is amazing. It not only talks about his experiences in a very harsh environment, like being in the military, being in the war, and making all those split decisions that are real life-death decisions. Let's be honest, not many decisions we make in projects today are real life and death decisions, right? But not only that, he actually links it to business. He goes and removes himself from that and says, okay, how does apply to business? So if anyone is interested, I strongly recommend read the book. It's one of my favorite books on ownership.
What is it called?
It's called Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink.
Jocko Willink, yeah. All right, love what you said. I just want to touch base one more time on the concept of accountability. And the reason why I think this topic is important, because in Australia, my personal belief, this is an issue comparing to the rest of the world. When I travel a lot, as a lot of you know, and I see accountability is always a serious issue in Australia comparing to the rest of the world, for many reasons. Now, when it goes to the, as you said, like the root causes behind it, usually I love to look at what motivates people. There are people who are motivated by rewards. Do I, as a business owner, a project manager, have the power to reward them? There are people who are motivated by innovation. Is there an environment where I can innovate and do the work which I love to do? There are people who are motivated by doing a challenging work. There are people who are motivated by punishment, which does not exist in Australia. We can't fire people here, right? This is reality. We can't fire people here. And there are people who are more motivated by working with a lovely team, a great team environment. So I think it's all about digging down to the root cause of the problem, see what really motivates people, and if we solve the problem of motivation, most likely accountability will start to be there. But it's definitely a very tricky topic here in Australia. Yeah.
I like it. Good insight. I like it. Jeff, while you've just taken the mic, perfect timing.
I was about to hand it over.
I'm going to ask you a question around what techniques from entrepreneurship can be applied by project managers to better engage stakeholders and clients?
I think touching on, in terms of motivation, what motivates them is extremely important. But it's how you approach and how you... Oh, sorry, can you hear me? Yep. Yep, it's all good. So how you approach the conversation, like, for example, with my GPs, in terms of if I sit there and use slogans, jargon, you can do this technically, 1, 2, 3, he does not care, or she does not care. So it's in terms of communication is very important, and just knowing what's the motivator there. So if I say to a doctor, okay, you can increase your revenue by 25%, however, your pain point is X, Y, and Z. He's like, oh, okay, Jeff, you can help me with this headache that, you know, this patient's coming every 2 weeks and 1, 2, but I'm also making you money, which, you know, is the financial driver there. So I think just understanding and being able to articulate your way, I guess, with the motivation of, you know, whether it's your team, whether it's your customers, and your stakeholders as a whole. You know, what motivates a board, or, you know, is completely different to potentially a staff member or reception. So yeah, communication is very important. Nice. So less jargon. Just obviously depending on people. I know when I was working with engineers, it was like just jargon. I'm like, dumb it down for me, please. Just like you're talking to a 2-year-old. So, and then you being able to kind of communicate that. So I think just the ability to communicate with your technical people and, you know, the rest of your stakeholders is extremely important.
Nice. I like it. Now, you all know I like planting seeds, right? You figured that? I'm a gardener by trade. So, again, it's really important that you guys dissect this and contextualise the responses that the panellists give you in the context of your world, right? Otherwise, it's useless information, yeah? Let's be honest. But in the context of this question, I'm going to throw a word out there. Authentic. One of the biggest things I learned from running businesses is that if you go in for the kill, and project managers do this, they invite people for coffees, don't they? But there's an underpinning intent to that. Authenticity is a wonderful way to engage with your stakeholders and your clients in business without intention. It might just be to get to know your client or your stakeholders a little bit better. So it means you have to invest some time. So the seed I've just sprinkled out there is authenticity. Try it. See what happens. Yeah?
That's actually very important. It's a recent event happened. Yeah.
See, story.
Sorry, I'm just going a bit on a tangent. So I ran a webinar. I was yesterday, 2 days ago. So it was late at night, 6:30 p.m. And so, you know, we had all the right content. We were partnered up with a healthcare expert, health finance expert. Big discussion. We're talking about doctors' pay. So there's this big issue in payroll tax. And anyway, the plan was it's 40 minutes. You have 40 minutes to deliver what you need. We've got our content we need to get to. It was talking about how to structure your practice to maximize profits, right? And it hit 30 minutes, and I give them the, hey, you've got 10 minutes left. It hit 40 minutes. There's like 20 slides left. I'm like, man, this is crazy. So I'm sitting there. The webinar didn't go as originally planned. It's great. You can pick up and learn from. So the whole idea is whenever you have a setback, you have a debrief. What can we do better next time? Great. But I'm sitting there. I'm like, oh, that was so bad. Like, I didn't get to deliver the message I really wanted to hit home. I'm okay with the kind of the content of the webinar. It was really engaging stuff. We had over 200 registrations. I think about 65% attend. I was like, that's great. It was in about 2 weeks. So I was talking to my colleague Rashan. I was like, Rashan, that was terrible. I don't know, in terms of how can we do this better. This is like maybe we take a different approach. He goes, Jeff, calm down. He's like, you are the twist. You being yourself. He goes, we can run this again. Just be yourself and don't overthink. And I'm like, I'll take that on board, Rashan. So yeah, authenticity, 100%. Yeah,
Sounds so obvious. Right?
Yeah.
Nice. I like that story. Marshall, I'd like to hear from you. What risk management practices from entrepreneurship can help project managers navigate uncertainty?
Right. When it comes to entrepreneurs, they have the culture of taking risk. They have what we call a high risk appetite. Like their risk appetite is high, tolerances to risk is low. And that could help a lot of project managers where in a lot of industries, government specifically, some of the project managers might be risk averse. There is an opportunity to save a lot of dollars in one of the projects by just coming up with a great idea, which could be an opportunity. Or there could be a risk there that it's worth it to take it. It's all right, as we are anticipating the reward, but then the project manager don't take. And that's a different culture when it comes to the entrepreneur, where entrepreneurs are more into, you know what, I will give it a try. What can really go bad here? How can I minimize the impact in case it happens? So this is a mindset that usually entrepreneurs are good at, where we as a project managers, depends on the industry, we might be a little bit more conservative to take the risk and plan our risk really well. So we go with the approach of avoidance of the risk more than taking the risk and minimizing the risk than the entrepreneurs who have the real entrepreneur mindset to try complete new things and take the risk.
That's what happens when you get older, right? Risk averse. We don't take the risk.
You change your superannuation.
100%, right? 100%. I like it. Thank you, Marshall. Very good. I can't wait. I hope you're all thinking about your questions, and we'll see how we go here. Giancarlo, another risk question for you.
Sorry.
And this is personal now.
Oh.
What's the biggest risk you've ever taken in a project? And more importantly, what was the outcome?
The biggest risk. Okay, so there was this program we were doing back in 2014-15. Was a large program with a government client. As part of this program, we had to we basically have to make a lot of changes across about 450 broadcasting transmission sites across Australia to be able to make way to telcos have new capacity, so we could all have the surge in demand we have for that and all that. And so just to put a bit of the context, government has already auctioned this additional space that we were creating for telcos for literally billions of dollars. The Telstras of the world, those guys have already paid that money. Government promised by this day, you will be able to turn all this on, you will be able to add all these clients with these additional data plans, and you will be start getting your return on money. No very little amount, by the way, billions of dollars, literally. this is a program that was supposed to last 4 years. Government was a bit slow in terms of the decision process. When we got it, we had 2 years to deliver this. And, we had a bit of an aggressive timeline to be able to achieve that, but we thought we were going to achieve that. So part of with that context in mind, it's quite high stakes, right? Like, government is interested that this happens on that day. Telstra and everyone else has spent millions of dollars on this free. They want to see this every first day, because otherwise they're not getting the return on their investment. We started the program, and we had a bit of one of the critical things we had is we had to deliver a scope for each of those sites. So what are the changes they needed to make, and construction companies will go and make them. These are technical changes, right? So I remember, very quickly we had all the team ready to go and start building scopes. First month, baseline, 2 scopes delivered, actual 0. Okay, there's still time to recover. Second month, baseline, you're supposed to deliver 4 of these scopes, we've delivered none. Okay, we've still got time. Come on, team, we can do this. 3 months, we're starting entering into the high volume phase. So now we should have supposed to do 7 or 10 of these scopes, if we only done like 2. And you can imagine how quickly we are panicking here. We only have 2 years. We're already running 4 behind, and we're about to enter into effectively the amount of scopes we had to deliver back then would be just compounding. Next month will be double. Next month will be doubled again, and we're not even hitting the low numbers. So it was very of an early crisis mode, and we talked about what we can do. And you tend to go through the simplistic options, right? What is the obvious option? More resources. Yeah, sure. Let's hire a bunch of people, and they can do scopes, and we will be fine. And and it's interesting because quite a lot of people that we were in that call trying to figure out what we do, because we can't continue this way. People start feeling, going back to that resilience question, right? People start feeling, I don't want to be in this program. We're 4 months into it. We're so far behind. The pressure is on. We haven't even started. We're 4 months. We maybe start finding excuses. Let's find excuses. What's the excuse? This should have really taken 4 years. And people they start diverging. They don't want to be related to the program. And I remember that someone said, look, I think the best option is, and I'll say these with respect for the individual. I think he was just being very practical about the process. He says, let's go and hire all these people, get them to do scopes. It might take quite a while for them to get up to speed and start delivering stuff. At least, if we don't get there in the end, at least the government knows we did everything we could to deliver the program. And I thought myself in a second, I said, well, there's 2 scenarios: do something completely different or just hire more people. And I tend to, when I play these scenarios, I tend to imagine the situation at the end. Right? So I tend to say, okay, let's imagine option 1, we do that, and we fail. So let me see, what would be the conversation we'll be having in 2 years' time? Yeah, look, we failed, but hey, we did everything we can. We hired lots of people. We couldn't deliver. I said, I'm not sure if that's going to fly. I'm not sure if I want to be in that conversation. And so someone else came up. We worked out that maybe one of the things we could do is we could probably attempt to automate these scopes. Because of the structures being built, we had someone that was really good at sort of building code, and it was something that we were going to do internally. Not some software that you're going to buy. It's just we're going to build internally. We're going to be able to produce much easier drag and drop scope statements and stuff like that. And effectively, the hope was that we could get more scopes much quicker, much faster, with the same amount of people we had. And I remember I said, look, the way I summarized the situation at the moment was, well, we've got 2 choices. Either we fail pretty, meaning we fail and got lots of excuses as to why we fail, or we really try to do our best, even if it's unorthodox what we're looking at here. And yeah, it might not be popular if it still fails. Because someone said, why did you choose to do this? Hindsight is always a great thing. But at least I felt that that was the only realistic chance we had to probably make a dent. Success wasn't guaranteed, but at least make a dent. So I remember I went, look, I think we're going to go and invest. So this required taking one resource that was doing these scopes, so you meant reducing the resource even further, to take them aside to build all this automation and stuff in the hope that we're going to catch up. So I remember I go to the CEO of the company and go and say, look, we've been thinking about this. This is the option. And my strong recommendation is that we go and take this person out of the resourcing and do the automation. And he's like, what is the certainty around this working? So, well, nothing is certain in life, really, right? That's not even a question.
Texas, right?
And he's like, no, let's just try to do harder. And so to me, what I thought is, this is like, we could have the opportunity to get someone with a machine and start cutting trees. Instead, we want the lumberjacks with the all access to work harder, right? So the bold step I took, and it was very risky. I don't even know if he knows till this point in time. So hopefully, if you're recording this, don't share it. But I remember we said, okay, that's fine. We're just going to work harder. And so what I did, we took this person that was in my team delivering this scope and said, you're going to go and focus on doing all this automation. But what we're going to do is, some of the guys that still have to do scope manually while this gets updated is, 1 in every 4, can you please put his name as if he did the scope? So there's no trail that he wasn't actually doing the scopes in case that we get found out. And so we went through that, right? And the first 2 months was very nerve-wracking, like he's building stuff, his stuff doesn't quite work that way, and we're not getting the speed. But all of a sudden, about month 6, the gap between what we should have delivered and what we needed to deliver was like 60 scopes. And next month was 40 scopes. And the next month was 10 scopes. And then by the time that we are 10 scopes ahead, 20 scopes ahead. And so that patience and that sort of conviction is probably the biggest risk we've taken. Now, we still deliver all those scopes progressively 2 or 3 months later. But because we had automated the scopes, and this is when I talk about those hidden opportunities that until you start the journey, you will not be able to see. Because we automated scopes, what we were able to do is say, well, now that we're going in the construction phase, there's a bunch of things we could tag in onto this that will make us send offer to contractors faster, make us evaluate the contractors' offer faster, get them into contracts. So we started to then leverage that little platform to go to market. So while we were 2 or 3 months later into the development phase, what we were able to do is start shortening very quickly the times that we've allowed for engaging with the market, delivering contracts and stuff. And the outcome is 2015. That program is the one that won us the PMI Project of the Year in 2015. So that's the biggest risk that I've taken in a project. That paid off.
I have a funny story. I don't know, like on the back of taking risks. To be honest, it'll be a very quick story. So 2 minutes. 2 minutes. So we had this program. So the medical center upgrade, and we were a team of 6 program managers. Right, each one of these program managers had about 5 projects. 5 programs, and I guess what was on the critical path of these builds was this pathology. So you had pathology. Every medical center you walk into, you either see foresight, pathology inside the medical center. Now, for that room, you have to actually get licensing, right? And how the licensing is actually structured, it's very complicated. A part of the upgrades, you had to move pathology. They're moving into a new room, right? But we're obviously upgrading and construction, and you got builders, electricians, everything all happening. Right, and because they're on the critical path, you had about 60 projects, all now going to be delayed because of this pathology license. And it was like, I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, we're going to delay this program because we can't kick pathology out for like 5 days. And like my friend is in pathology. So I had the conversation with pathology and the area manager there. I'm like guys, like, are we really going to delay this? Because this, you know, just for a couple of days, I promise you, I'll make sure the builder gets everything done in that room. We'll move them out as long as we have the workflow all set up correctly, so patients know where to go. All the legal framework we're covering off, all the signage is all there. Everything from a legal perspective, respect to legal, it's fine. So the steerco comes in, we're going to delay the program. This is going to be delayed by X amount day duration. And then we shared the information to the program managers, we shared the information to the program director. Hey guys, like, I believe this would work. 5 days, we'll kick them out, we'll, you know, build the room, put them back in. What we need to do is X, Y, and Z. It's a risk, obviously, you know. There's going to be maybe some upset patients, but from a legal standpoint, we've already confirmed it's okay. What do you think? They're like, Jeff, let's go. So we end up kick pathology out. So you like imagine like all these medical equipment, you're moving to a room, and then the next steerco meeting comes on, and it's like, hey guys, oh, that risk is, it's done. We're good. We're fine. So it's like, yeah, just like, you know, in terms of taking risks, sometimes you have to take risks, and again, thinking outside the box during projects.
I love it.
Yeah, quick one. Before I tell my story, I just want to link it to a topic which we covered before, which is how can you enable your team with innovation? And I love the point that you said it's all about creating the safe environment where people can come and speak. But we also want to think about the next step, which is how can we try to protect the tender good ideas? And how can we provide the resources, the time for our resources to execute these great ideas? And then reward them on it. So all that will help to create the environment with innovation. So my story, really short, time when I used to be in the oil and gas, probably one of my first projects, building a production platform. One of the members from the engineering departments have identified an opportunity after they have done value engineering. Value engineering is simply a study to see if we can do a similar thing in a cheaper cost. So they have identified an idea where we can use a different material, but we need to change the design. The different material is much cheaper, but it will require an investment on changing the design. Now we need to go to the clients and to talk to the clients about it, but I know the clients were just rejected and kill it from the beginning. So the only solution was, how about we spend nearly $20,000, $30,000 in the engineering to redesign it, buy some of the material, weld it, test it, spend money. So there was like nearly $30,000, $40,000 of investment that requires. Hopefully that the clients will accept the idea after we present it and after we have tested the idea. Hopefully the clients will accept it, which will save the project nearly $500,000. So we want to put like a $40,000, $50,000 to try an idea that comes from one of the team members, which will generate an opportunity later on. So providing these resources to make this small tender idea grow is I think is essential for the entrepreneur mindset that project manager need to have. And this is my risk, which luckily we got the clients to approve it. It was hard to convince them. And I remember that I have to even tell the clients, like, what are you looking for? Do you want the result or do you want the function? I even have to tell them, like, when you go to the shop, do you buy the glasses because you want the glasses or because you want to see better? I'm giving you the solution. I'm giving you the function. So just accept the idea. So after a little bit of negotiation, they managed to accept the idea, but we have to squeeze the price a little bit to convince them as well. So that was my story.
Come on, guys, give the panelists a round of applause.
So I would like to open for the audience. Do you guys have some questions for this? Didn't I say that they were amazing? No? We actually heard incredible things, Ibrahim.
Want me to start with the questions?
Yes, please.
First, thank you very much. That was very interesting, enlightening, and enriching. The question is, yes, I agree. Project managers should be have the entrepreneurial mindset, should practice ownership, should do all of these things in order to run their projects better. They are not alone. There is someone else that makes or breaks the sponsor. Sometimes you are blessed with a sponsor that you and him or her on the same page.
Rarely.
Sometimes you are not. The sponsor could be parachuted on you. In corporates, it happens a lot. Yes, you will have this as the sponsor. And then, I don't like this project. No, go and sponsor it. And that's a disaster. How do you expect, or what's your advice for project managers to have the ownership mindset, have the entrepreneurial, has the motivation, has the resources, as you said, for any ideas, if their sponsors are either indifferent or worse, are against, negative about the project?
Who wants to go first?
I can, from my perspective anyway.
Sure. I can.
I often like to map out the influence of that sponsor. Like you almost have to, it's convince them to why it's important and why you should actually care. So it's more, and then going back to communication and articulating yourself. From my end, if you're obviously rarely blessed with that sponsor, just finding out what motivates them and then being able to, make them interested, make them, want to realize it. I think, and I guess highlighting the benefit and, taking the outcome approach is very important instead of just scope, budget, timeline, yet deliverables. I think translating that into the business in terms of how it will impact the business is obviously extremely important.
So you're becoming more royal than the king, because they should be.
It's a psychology is very important, right? In terms of what motivates people, and in terms of working with people, we all come from different backgrounds and cultures. Something very important in terms of outside. Certain things are not a problem in Australia. Certain things are a problem. Just being aware of your environment and who you're working with as well. Yeah. So, Marshall,
right. That's a very good point, because on a personal level, I believe lots of projects, or one of the main reasons why projects fail today, is because of a sponsorship, not because of the project manager. Now, sponsors could be one of two. They could be, I'm happy supporting the projects, but I'm not there.
Well, okay.
Yeah, I'm not there. Or I'm against the project. Now, the last one, if I'm not supporting the project as I'm against it, I'm against the idea, that is very risky. As a project manager, I need to flag it if I can have a conversation with the senior management that this is not the right sponsor. After I've tried to convince them, after I have tried to show them the benefits, I'll do all that part. But then if it's still not working, I'll need to flag to the senior management if I can that this sponsor is not the right sponsor for this project. Now, if the sponsor is the first type, which is a sponsor who's really busy, who's like, I'm happy, but I don't care, but I'm happy with the project, but I'm not available. I think we need to be very proactive at the beginning of the project, where we need to adjust the expectation with the sponsor, agree with them on the tolerance and thresholds where I need to escalate to you and you gotta pick up the phone immediately, and agree with the sponsor that I'm gonna touch base with you 3-4 times throughout the life of the project, and ask the sponsor from the beginning of the project to be proactive. What is the right way or the right approach to communicate with you at the beginning of the project? Agree to the way of communication, choose their preferred way of working, their preferred way of communication. That's the proactive approach. And then hopefully in the project they will be available to support you.
I agree 100%. That's why I'm asking this question, because I wanted to highlight that all these are important. One important thing we need to add, which I learned from Dr. Taburda over there, is that project managers should be brave. They should be able to escalate. They should not say, I report the sponsor, so I should do everything what the sponsor is saying. No, they should be brave, and they should go somewhere else if they believe this is for the sake of the project and the outcomes, the benefits after.
Projects are going to go nowhere if the sponsor is resistant to the project. It will go nowhere.
All right. Thank you.
Excellent. So is there one more question? Yes?
Is there anyone else? No? Okay. Marshall, you mentioned project deliveries, outcome, output, and benefits. Jeff, you mentioned about the communication, vertical communication that you like doing, less on the horizontal way, but from gardener to CEOs, for example. And Gian, you mentioned about value, delivering value. So how do you actually manage, as a project manager, it's all people management, right? It's all about people and communication and how you motivate them, etc., to get them, to lead them to that, to deliver the project. Now, how do you actually manage the value, the perception of value from each stakeholders? Because everyone will have a different perception of what is going to be delivered, the value that is going to take to get at the end of the project, and how you do that throughout the entire project. Because value is for each phase, everything that you do. It's not right at the end, is, you know, as you go. So how do you actually manage that perception?
Look, that's an incredible good question. Let's address the elephant in the room. Value in projects, in every decision we make, whether we buy something or sell something, is relative. Is subjective. Absolutely subjective, right? What I found valuable, you don't find valuable, and vice versa. If I think about the entrepreneurship world, this is where what entrepreneurs do, slightly different to projects, but what entrepreneurs do is that's why they go through what they call the 0 to 1, which means let me first find out if there's one client that is interested, because they don't want to service everyone. They want to service the people, you know, they want to see if there's a market for them. It doesn't have to be everyone. It has to be the people that value that service. And there has to be enough of it for them to invest in that. That's why entrepreneurs go through 0 to 1. Then once they test that market, they go to the scaling phase, which is a 1 to many, right? When it comes to projects, a bit more comfortable, because who are the customers? The customers are within the project. It's a group of people that have got a decision. I think ultimately, if a project hasn't got a clear value proposition for the business, not for an individual, you as a value-based project manager should question whether we should even invest $1 in that project. To start with, forget about trying to defend the project, because the organization should have clear, fairly good agreement on what's the value that a project might deliver. Now, you as a project manager being clear on not just what the budget is and what you're doing a door and this is $5,000 and get it done, but more why are we doing that door, is important, because things will change. And for you to be making informed decisions on what are the right trade-offs to identify the opportunities to maximize that value, you need to understand where you're heading. So the premise of the question is, how do you convince people? I don't think the project manager's role is to convince people. I think we shouldn't be starting a project if the business is not even sure that, because it's set for failure on the outset.
I'll just quickly, from my end, in terms of convincing people, I think that's, like, convince me if I'm wrong, there's the value, but then there's also being valued, right? So in an organization, you know, a company, yeah, great, you might get a pay rise, but again, going back on the, you know, key motivation indicators. From my perspective anyway, being the hero is important. So in my world, in the healthcare world, we're obviously dealing with doctors and we're generating additional revenue, or, you know, whenever we're running a new implementation block, you know, making the practice manager feel like she is the hero or he is the hero, and then therefore being able to then translate and motivate. So I think from my, that's from my perspective, it's very important.
Pretty much related to this topic, entrepreneurs are really good with having the mindset of they are customer-centric. And value and benefits goes hand in hand. From technical project management, every project should have what we call its benefit management plan, where we identify the beneficiaries of the project. Beneficiaries could be internal, could be external, could be other stakeholders. Anyone could be a beneficiary of the project. And then from there, we can identify some metrics to measure these benefits, which will result in maximizing the value at the end of the day. So it's always being customer-centric, where customer could be internal, customer could be internal or could be external. Defining and agree with them on the benefit that they want to achieve, and then from there we can maximize the value and sustain it as well.
Actually, I really like what Jeff you mentioned. It's all three answers, but I really like that because the motivation is based for an individual perspective, based on the needs and the preferences of that individual, which will actually lead to actually work on the project to be able to deliver the value, which is actually based on the collective.
100%.
So it's actually
It's going like value. It's subjective. So like, I think it's just understanding what everyone's.
And every stakeholder has a different value.
Yeah.
Julia, I'm going to jump in. I got one more seed, right? I feel very left out. Who's the entrepreneurs in the room? Put your hands up. I'm going to test you guys now. What does WIFM mean? Who's heard of WIFM?
Of course.
Exactly.
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah.
As an entrepreneur, that's where we start. When we're dealing with clients, it's about WIFM. What's in it for me as a customer?
Yeah.
So the value prop, valid. I'm now giving you the entrepreneurial mindset, which you can directly apply to how you evaluate what the value prop is within your projects. Last seed, enjoy.
I would like to, on behalf of PM Partners, to actually get you a little token of appreciation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you. Even you get one.
Thank you. Lucky am I.
Okay, and guys, this is how you actually claim your PDUs. Not charge, claim your PDUs. And I was so excited to actually have this event, because I truly believe that we can learn so much from each other, right? Entrepreneurs from project managers from entrepreneurs. And last month was all about women. Not that this month is all about men, but it just actually just ended up being like this. But I actually think that after all, everything is about the vision. So we actually go back to your jobs, to your study, to your everything, and actually say, is there a WIFM? Is there a vision here? Do I have a why? You know, I actually always tell people that I have a hashtag. You know, my hashtag is dare to dream. So I think that everybody should actually dare to dream. Yeah, I think that everybody should find their hashtag and actually live their hashtag to the nth degree. So with that, I would love if you guys could, do a little bit of a survey for us. We wanted to serve you guys. We want to bring things that you wanted to hear. And I do hope that this was a fantastic topic. And we are going to have, as you probably saw there, we're going to have Ask the CEO. We're going to have a lot of things that is happening in our, look at the critical path. Make sure that you actually follow us on LinkedIn and actually take from there. Anything else from you guys?
No, thank you.
Perfect. So I would like to thank again PM Partners for this amazing opportunity. Thank you so, so very much, Nick. Thank you, Francisca. She's left. Yes, yes.